Dating is a lot like shopping for a car. When you're young, you want something flashy, something that turns heads, goes fast, makes you feel alive. You're not thinking about maintenance, gas mileage, or whether it can handle a long road trip. You just want the thrill, the acceleration, the adrenaline. Fast forward though, about 20 years, and life and your preferences have changed. Can this thing last? Can it carry you through storms? Can it handle wear and tear? Can it take you somewhere meaningful? This is where so many people go wrong in relationships. They choose a partner like they choose a sports car. They base it off excitement as opposed to endurance. They chase chemistry, yet they ignore character. They get love drunk, yet they lose all their emotional sobriety. In other words, what we're trying to say is what you desire at 20 isn't necessarily what you desire at 40. And this is what we want to talk about today, because I think a lot of people, what they do is they choose based off of emotional preferences or physical attraction, not necessarily spiritual alignment or character. And this is what we want to introduce to you is really what we call the 3-month test. Now, if you're in our local body, if you're in our church congregation, you would have heard this before, especially if you're an individual, you want spiritual covering, you want counsel, you want mentorship. But this is what we call the 3-month test. Want to introduce it real fast? What is that?
The 3-month test is exactly that. It is an opportunity to really get to know the person that you are interested in, to see if it's worthwhile to pursue a date. It's essentially like our version of courting. That's what I would see it as. Like, you're really getting to know the person to see if pursuing a relationship with them is really what is in the best interest of both parties. And we always like to say dating is for data. So you really are collecting information, collecting data
to make a wise decision.
That's right.
Yeah, a ton of people have done this now. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people would say it was successful or it wasn't successful based on whether or not they got married. And I'm like, it's incredibly successful if you get to the end of this 3 months, 90 days, and you're like, we're not compatible together. Mm-hmm. That's a very good thing.
I think sometimes I'm sure people will listen to this and be like, that's kind of archaic.
I know, it sounds old school. It sounds like it's ancient. Yeah.
But honestly, I think nowadays it's really hard to see people successfully practicing guarding their heart.
Absolutely.
And that's what the Bible tells us to do, is to guard our heart. And a lot of people don't know how to do that. So this actually creates some parameters so that you can guard your heart as in a more, like, it's a safer environment to try and do that. Whereas a lot of times people will just be like, oh, I'm just going to try this out. I'll date this person. They let their walls down completely, their guard down completely. They give their heart away so easily. And then they're crushed because they're not compatible or it's not working out. So, you know, when we strongly, we like to say recommendatory to do the 3-month trial before dating, so that you can practice guarding your heart. You're getting to know the person in a low risk way. And you're really assessing based off of all that time that you're collecting information and getting to know the person, if that is the best option for both of you.
What did you think about the illustration? Thanks, Ez.
Ezra, you didn't have to bring it to the trash.
At this point, you're just in every video. You might as well just be a part of the podcast. You want to just say hi to everybody?
You already took a water.
And a little bit of ice.
No ice. Nope. You're not doing any ice.
Yeah, definitely not ice.
Come here. Let me close it. Oh, please
let mommy screw that on.
Let me close it.
No, you're going to drop it.
Ezra, let me, hold on.
It's going to be freaking SeaWorld in here if you just keep doing that. Ezzy, no.
Ezra, here,
grab the water. Grab the water.
Take it, Ezra. Make sure when you go back in the room, close the door. That kid's going to bed at 7 o'clock tonight.
1,000%.
Parenting is not for the faint of heart.
Today we're going to talk about 3 reasons why you shouldn't have kids.
So, dating. So, when it comes to the illustration I used earlier, especially when you're younger, you're like, you want a sports car. You want something that can go fast. Something that captures a bunch of attention. And
shiny,
I think
sparkly.
As you get older, you're like, no, I want some more longevity. I want something that's safe. I want something that's good, looks good, but also can last a long time. Mm-hmm. And I think in our youth, people typically are just thinking about the thrill of the moment, the physical attraction I have, the emotions that I feel. I want what I want when I want it. Yet we do not base our decision making off of principles or longevity. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I agree. I think people are so concerned with the present and like the now, but they're not future minded. I think, you don't want to get ahead of yourself and like make all these crazy plans where you're not living in the moment. But I think young people tend to strictly live in the moment and not have any mind or any
Self-control.
Yeah, or even just like having any like mindset of what's going to benefit me in the future.
Totally.
How am I going to set myself up for success in the future? Like if you think about college, for example, like people are going to college because they want to figure out what their next, maybe they already know what they want to do or they're going to figure out. But the whole purpose of going to college is supposedly to help set you up for your future.
Yeah.
So that's an investment that you're making in yourself. It's the same thing in all areas of life. Like you need to be looking at what are ways that I can invest in myself to prepare myself for my future and not just live in the moment, not
100%.
just enjoy what's the here and now.
Yeah, I think whenever we've presented this to a few people, we've gotten a lot of people that have gone through this, and what we recommend is really what the season is doing is building a foundation upon God and a friendship with each other.
Yes.
That's really what it's accomplished. But there are some people that are like, I'm not doing that. And I would always just say, I'm not doing this 3-month rule. I go, it's not a rule, it's a test. We're not forcing anybody to do this. I think this is the wise thing to do, though. We think it's wise because you're exercising self-control. You're building a foundation upon God because you're searching clarity. There's prayer and fasting that's involved in this, but then also a friendship with each other where there's relational compatibility, group settings, hangouts, fun like that. But then there are some people that are like, I'm not doing that. I'm a grown adult. Like I don't, and we just say, you don't have to do it.
Yeah.
But what I would say is, why wouldn't you do that? Well, because I don't know, I just don't need to do that. I'm like, what you're saying is you want what you want when you want it, and you cannot exercise some self-control and exercise some of the physical restraint that's required. And I just think it's an exposure of their selfishness and their foolishness, to be honest.
For sure, yeah.
And I'm not saying everybody that doesn't do it is selfish or foolish. I'm not saying that. But there are a lot of people where we have been discipled by culture, not kingdom. And so as a result, because we've been discipled by culture, culture always goes intimacy first, information second.
Yeah.
What I mean by that is it's physically engaged first. And then it's, I'm going to get to know your character next. I've used this quote 1,000 times, but I think it's so important. It's probably my favorite dating advice I'd give anybody. Choose somebody, not that you want to sleep with, somebody you would suffer with. So important. Hey, I want to challenge you. Don't waste your potential. For those who are serious, not just curious about their spiritual and personal development, I want to invite you to the Academy. Listen, if you like this video, this is just a glimpse of the incredible content and conversations that we have in this coaching program. The question is, what is the Academy? It is a digital continuity program my team and I lead, designed to help the committed Christian grow spiritually and personally. Through our specialized Core 4 model we get from Jesus, we emphasize the spiritual, personal, relational, and leadership growth that he invests himself in as well. This comes from Luke chapter 2, verse 52, where Jesus grew in wisdom, stature, favor with God, and favor with man. And our goal is to coach you so that you can increase your influence, impact, and income. Listen, I started the Academy because I've had hundreds of conversations with good people who don't necessarily live good lives. And they were never trained how to manage their calendar, document core values, establish boundaries with others, and so many more necessary skills. Inside the vault, you'll learn things like how to study the Bible, how to become a person of self-discipline, how to find freedom from toxic people, even leadership theory, all within a biblical framework and a biblical context. Listen, things don't get better by chance. They get better when you change. And this program is not an expense, it's an investment. So go to theacademycoaching.com or visit the description below this video to check out more details, and let's make this year your best year yet. Don't just choose somebody to marry or date or be with just because they're hot and they're sexy. You want somebody that you can suffer and go through hell seasons with. And
because
I find that a lot of people, you will, absolutely, you will. And in those seasons, I'm sorry, but sex, making out, physical attractiveness ain't gonna sustain you.
Yep.
Which is why you need a foundation and a friendship. And here's the whole principle wrapped up in one little statement. I want you to talk about it afterwards. Is we call this the 3-month test, because at the core of a relationship, you cannot trust something if it hasn't been tested.
For sure.
Nothing can be trusted unless it has been tested
Can
first.
I add something to what you were saying previously? I think one thing that, like, just all the counseling that we've done with couples, and you and I have talked about this before, but I think dating nowadays is very tricky and very challenging. And it's different than when you and I dated, because we weren't competing with social media.
Facts.
We weren't competing with all these different factors. Like, we live in the tech age. Not to say that tech has been around for
Not at the same level when we were.
but that's what I mean. Not at the same level. So it's been around, like, people, when you and I started dating, people weren't really using dating apps at our age. That was like older people that had started using dating apps. And then it started to trickle down to people like young adults. And I don't know if, like, teenagers use dating apps, but I know young adults started using dating apps well after you and I got married. But that was something that I think that's something that people are having to compete with, is all these different tech aspects to meeting people and getting to know people. Like, it's so much harder to meet and get to know people organically. So when you commit to, you know what, I'm just going to commit to getting to know this person, you don't have to call it the 3-month test. You can honestly just look at it as, I'm going to commit to just getting to know this person and see if I can build a solid foundation with them. If we align with the same values, if we align with the same mindset, if we have fun together, if we enjoy each other's company. Like, the worst that will come out of doing a 3-month trial test, however you want to call it, is you guys realize you're not compatible, but you can be friends.
Totally.
There's not this devastation and heartbreak. The only time I see that there's devastation and heartbreak that comes with it is when you are actively not guarding your heart.
Absolutely.
And
it's
mostly with
girls. Cannonball right away.
Yes, it's mostly with girls that we see that, where they're just so, like, their heart's desire is so badly to just be in a relationship with someone and make it work. So then the first opportunity that they see that, they willingly give their heart away, and then it doesn't work out, and they're absolutely crushed.
At its core, that's selfish. Mm-hmm. It's, I feel empty, so I am frantically searching for somebody that makes me feel full. Mm-hmm. And I'll be with that person, not necessarily because you love that person, but because you feel a void within yourself. Mm-hmm. It's scary. Mm-hmm. It is masked with, I want to serve them, but really you're serving yourself.
Yeah.
And I think this is why you go through a season, and we suggest 3 months, because that is a literal season. Mm-hmm. That's 90 days. That's, you're going through, you start in spring and it ends in summer. And all of a sudden the start of a new season. My dad always taught me this. You go through seasons and settings when it comes to dating an individual. Is you should see them in certain seasons and then certain settings. How do they handle the winters? How do they handle being with family dynamics during the winter season? How do they handle conflict in certain settings? So you want to pay attention to those things. And then when you do that, now you're starting to inform opinions and getting data based on their character, not just their looks. Because again, the goal is longevity, not necessarily the excitement of this one particular season. We're not trying to get a Lamborghini. You want beauty, no doubt, but you want something that can last a long time. And listen, you have one thing that goes wrong with the Lamborghini car, all of a sudden, boom, it's tens of thousands of dollars, and you have to get ridiculous amounts of maintenance on it.
And not to mention the fact that you can't drive that on an all-terrain, like, landscape. You want something that you can drive on any landscape, that can get you through any pothole, any whatever it is. Like, you want something that's durable, that's going to last you through storms, through all different types of terrains. So if we're using the car as an analogy, I feel like that's what you want to look for. Something that,
you need
looks
a Dodge
good.
Durango. That's what you need. Built for tough. That's what you need.
You do need something that, hey, it looks good, but it will get through anything.
Come on.
It will get through whatever.
What we're
gets
not
thrown
saying,
our
just to
way.
finish this metaphor, what we're not saying is attractiveness matters. Like, you should be attracted
For
to
sure.
somebody.
You should love.
But the key is, though, it's not the only thing that matters.
Yes.
And that's how people have been discipled is, I don't know, I just feel this feeling. I'm just so drawn to that person. No, you're in lust. You have no emotional control. You have no self-control. You have no maturity. And if all you are going after is somebody that's sexy and hot, again, Lamborghini, you're looking at somebody like that and you're just so compelled by that. Well, listen, there is a lot more to a relationship than just physical attractiveness. You need to know their character, their decisions, their direction. So let me give and summarize a couple things here. The 3-month test is not a rule, it's a tool. It's not about restriction, it's about getting and garnering revelation. You're getting revelation of who this other person is. This is a season to take 90 days to group date, get to know each other relationally, build a foundation and a friendship that's strong. So we suggest to take time to build a relationship before there's a commitment. It provides emotional sobriety. I want you to talk about that in a second. Emotional sobriety before you're love drunk and intoxicated by emotions and attractions. Because feelings fade, but friendship lasts. If there's one thing that I would say has really sustained our relationship, it's that. It's not that we still don't have feelings. There's moments of feelings, but there's moments where there's no feelings. Or there's moments where it's like,
I want to kill you.
Yeah, I was supposed to say. I have never thought I would leave you. I don't think you've ever thought you would leave me. But we've definitely both considered murder before. There's no doubt. Speak to the emotional sobriety, kind of feelings fade, friendship lasts.
Yeah, I think especially for us.
I've considered murder. I don't know about you, but.
Oh, 1,000%.
Forget you. Love you.
I would say, yeah, I think women tend to be more emotionally driven already. That's just our wiring, where we, there are a lot of advantages to that because we have a built-in intuition. So we can sense things a lot more deeply and can pick up on things way quicker than men can because of that. But I think it's also our Achilles heel because we will let it direct us and dictate our decisions instead of allowing our mind and our logic, which we have that. Women, we have that. We have the capacity to be able to let our mind lead us and not our heart lead us. The Bible says that the heart is deceitfully wicked. So if you are always led by your heart, you will find yourself in positions where you're like, I don't know how I got here. I don't know why I've settled for this man who can't hold a job and, says he loves me, but his actions don't line up with his words and X, Y, and Z, is emotionally immature, you name it. Because their biggest mistake was just allowing themselves to be led by their feelings. And I think if we would just slow down and recalibrate our mind and our heart so that we can keep that as the forefront of, hey, my mind is going to make the decisions that are best for me, even if my heart is not there yet.
That's good.
But eventually my heart will catch up to it.
That's right.
Honestly, like if you think about it this way, and I don't know if I can necessarily speak to everybody having this type of experience. This was my experience. But I remember like when I was head over heels over this guy and for years. And then I finally got to a point where I was like, I can't let myself get trampled over by this person. I can't let myself get taken advantage of by this person and manipulate me and then like just drop me and leave me hanging and suffering. So I'm going to just make the decision as much as it sucks, as much as I don't want to. I'm just going to. It feels wrong, but I knew that's what I needed to do.
Yeah.
I made the decision in my mind. I acted on that decision because I knew what was best for me. And eventually the feelings followed.
So good.
Yeah, I stopped caring. I stopped suffering over someone who didn't want me. And that was okay. But I think in the moment, we are just so hung up on how we're feeling. We can't see past it because we're just so stuck in the emotional state instead of releasing that and bringing ourselves to our mental state. I just want to make sure people also know too that like we did not do a 3-month test. And we're doing great. So it's not like, hey, if you don't do this, you're doomed to fail. I do think, however, that if you don't have a solid foundation with someone, like we were best friends before we started dating. So we already had that established.
That's right.
I think there needs to be a little clarity there. We already had that established. So if you find yourself in a position where you're like, oh, he's been my best friend for all this time, and I'm starting to see him in a different light. You don't have to go through a whole 3-month thing. You've gotten to know each other. That's where you could take that next step if you're heading in that direction. This is really for people who have absolutely no foundation with another person. They find them attractive and they've had a couple like cutesy conversations, maybe a meet cute, and then nothing else has gone. A meet cute, like
Frick is that?
Like how their first.
Cute? Have you ever heard of that?
It's on Facebook dating. I've had it come up. Yeah.
Meet cute.
Meet cute. It's like, how did you guys meet? It was like a cute little way that you met. Like maybe you guys like both went to a coffee shop, ordered the same coffee drink, and then they say what your coffee is, and you both go up at the same time to grab it.
Or like you're at Target getting a book, and like you both go over the same book.
Yes, it's like that.
Oh my God,
that's a meet
destiny.
cute. Yeah. It's a meet cute. It's like a cute way you met. I'm just saying,
I
like
need that meme. Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, okay.
I'm just saying, like, if that's the full extent of the interaction you've had with that person, that's where something like this would come into play.
Because you need a foundation.
Because you need a foundation in a friendship.
Very good. To support this biblically, I've got a couple scriptures. You've heard this before. Song of Solomon 2:7 says this: "Do not awaken love until the time is right." Mm-hmm. Don't do it. Mm-hmm. That speaks to more sexual intimacy, but there's a principle in that, which is just be careful. Your emotions can become intoxicating to where you become drunk. And if anybody has a history in here, and both Natalia and I do, we got some BC days to where we remember what it was like. When you're intoxicated, you make foolish choices.
Yes.
And that doesn't just go with alcohol. Too. Exactly. It's carelessness.
It's carelessness.
That doesn't just go with alcohol. That also goes with your emotional state. Here's another one, Proverbs 19:2. Some of you guys should memorize this. Desire without knowledge is not good. Mm-hmm. And whoever makes his haste with his feet misses his way. Desire without knowledge is not a good thing. And whoever makes haste, whoever is swift or quick with his feet, meaning you make a quick choice, you miss your way, meaning you're going in a wrong direction.
Yeah.
So you don't need to be physical right off the bat with your relationship. This goes whether you're a Christian or not. I know not everybody that watches this channel is a believer, and that's okay. But whether you're a Christian or not, this is the wise thing to do, not just the godly thing to do. You don't need to be physical you must be intentional though, right off the bat. Godly relationships start with purpose, not passion.
Right.
If you skip the test, don't be shocked when you fail it. So what I would suggest for so many of you guys, take this 3 months. Take about 90 days. And build a foundation, build a friendship, develop your relational dynamics, have a lot of fun together, get mentors to speak into your relationship right off the bat. 3 months could literally set up the rest of your life if you do it successfully.
For sure.
Couple guiding factors: hang in groups, be in group settings. What we suggest is no physical intimacy. That means limited kissing or no kissing, no hand holding, no touching, things like that. Protect your heart and your body. Why? Because as soon as you start to do that, you get emotionally intoxicated with other people. Be honest about your expectations. Clearly communicate and document your expectations. Talk openly about your values, your faith, your goals, and then stay in community. Involve mentors, pastors, accountability partners. And just remember, nothing can be trusted unless it first has been tested.